Welcome back, guys, to episode 20 of the Look Mum, I'm Hustling podcast. We're still alive, still in lockdown, but we're still alive.
Which is the most important part.
And we're 20% of the way there to the big 100 episode. I wonder if we'll do it next year.
Ooh.
Should we go double the effort and try and get to the 100 milestone before the end of 2022?
That would be amazing if we could. What is it, 52 weeks in a year?
It's a lot of episodes and we're struggling to get content at the moment.
Yeah, we're trying to do every 2 weeks to see how it goes, but would love to do it weekly eventually. I know we've talked about it before.
Every episode.
Yeah, we'll get there.
It sounds like we're just making excuses, or we're just trying to get people to motivate us and give us that push, but we'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there eventually, but we're doing a lot better. We're waking up earlier, I'm not the best with my time management, so just trying to get a little bit better with that, and we're finding that we actually have a tiny bit of extra time, which is why we're recording an episode in the afternoon rather than a morning.
It's all about making time.
Yeah, making time work for us, right?
Yeah, and money too.
Yeah.
That's the key to success.
Eventually. Any sponsors out there? Hello, we're Look Mum Hustling.
We just sponsor ourselves.
Yeah, we could sponsor ourselves. That's essentially what we do. You're self-employed and you pretty much sponsor yourself to,
That's true.
Make money in a way.
That's true. So what are we talking about today? We just watched a cool documentary. We had a discussion about how to do a segue, but we're just going to throw it out the window. I'm just going to go straight into it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, well, I guess not everyone needs a segue every time.
There's no rules in podcast land, especially this podcast land.
Yeah.
Because
we have no rules.
Exactly.
Yeah, we just make it up as we go along. Like I said, we're doing it in the afternoon rather than the morning.
But
yeah, today we're going to be talking about, a little bit about Britney Spears, because it sort of sparked, I guess, a conversation that we started having, and we're like, no, let's just put a pin in this and we can talk about it on the actual podcast episode.
Yep.
But growing up, I was a massive fan of Britney Spears. I used to sing and dance, and when I saw her for the first time, I was like,
in real life?
No, I wish I saw her in real life. I think when she eventually made it to Australia, I was a little bit too old and I was emo then, so I wasn't into pop music anymore.
Well, she had her emo stage where she wore a lot of eyeliner and stuff.
That was more, I guess so. She got a little bit darker in her music.
Edgy.
Yeah, a little bit more edgy.
A little bit Kelly Clarkson there for a moment.
Oh, I'm breaking away. But like I was saying, I used to be a massive fan, and just her singing and her choreography, in her actual video clips was absolutely amazing. It was Michael Jackson level. She would put that much effort into it.
Mm-hmm.
And then watching this documentary, because she's just been in the media probably for the last year, I think, all around the conservatorship, which I knew nothing about. You heard whispers and people were saying free Britney, and all everything online was just free Britney, free Britney. And then I started looking into it and it was super weird. It's so...
Did you start looking into it before we watched the documentary, or simultaneously?
About simultaneously, because it all sort of...
So for the last 48 hours?
No. It was I saw the documentary pop up and I think we watched it about 2 days later.
Okay.
Yeah, because she was on, it was just all over Facebook and all over the social media.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously where I work, there's a couple of people that knew about it already.
Follow the Free Britney movement.
Yeah, or just up to date with the celebs and what's going on and everything. But I think a couple of days ago, the conservatorship ended, I think, over, I think it was 13 years long.
Well, you can't just go straight into it ended. Let's give them some context here.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You know more about it. So what is the whole Free Britney movement? We watched the doco. Let's summarize it real briefly for people, and not to mean, you can give out spoil. You just go about the spoiler anyway.
Yeah, well, I guess if you've been watching them,
if you have Google, you could find this out in 2 seconds.
Yeah, and it's it's been everywhere. But the documentary, so it's Britney versus Spears, and it's pretty much starts off with her, I guess, becoming even more popular and making more money. She started to have a slew of bad relationships, and then I think it was her father that made a petition. There was always these conspiracy theories of is this actually happening? Does she actually need help? Does she actually need the conservatorship? But yeah, he ended up getting signed on her, pretty much the ruler of every single. Well, that's the whole thing. Apparently, in the medical documents.
You're jumping way too far ahead here.
Sorry. Well,
so Britney Spears.
Yeah.
What happened to her? Shut her down for? Shaved her head, right?
Yeah, so she, I think it was Kevin, her
Federline.
Yeah, so her partner with her kids, They had this massive court battle and then he won custody of the children and it sort of like spiraled
She
from
spiraled
there.
out, and then the question was raised, is she
Capable
of handling her kids, I guess?
Yeah.
Is her mental state stable? Which then leads into
the conservatorship.
Okay.
Yeah. But even then, like for someone to have ruling over it, every life decision, medical decisions, financial decisions, like everything is like taken away from you.
It's ruled by one person. Is
Yeah.
it always one person, or can it be like a cohort?
It could be like a couple of people that do it. It can also be like third-party private companies that do it. Sometimes it's like family members that do it. So I guess like one example would be, say if you're in a coma, you can't make your own decisions.
Yeah.
So then you'd have like someone that's in a conservatorship and will help make it for you. Same as like dementia, like you can't rationally make your own decisions, so
What's
you need someone to
the difference
help.
between that and like just next of kin, like choosing like how to proceed with medical treatment and stuff?
Well, like next of kin, just say if you're unconscious, that's when like the next of kin will tie in. But this whole thing, if you're conscious, just say, for example, because I think this is the ruling that they had on Britney, was like the dementia aspect. You can answer questions, you can say yes or no, you can, most of the time put on your own socks, all that kind of thing. But
if you're unaware of sort of what you're doing and saying, yeah, okay.
Yeah, you can't rationally or I guess make decisions that are best for you.
Best decision,
Yeah.
So basically her dad got control over her for like the last decade and a half?
Yeah, pretty much 13 years. There was a short stint where I think one of her fiancés or husbands or partners was like in a joint conservatorship with the father, so they signed on together.
Yep.
I think it was the ex-manager, I think, from memory.
You said the ex-partner, the ex-fiancé.
No, but he was all the above.
Okay.
Yeah. So they like had all these like different roles within her life, but then they ended up splitting up. So then it was her father again.
Okay, so like let's not just stick on the Britney thing for ages. Basically, the last 15 years that she's under this sort of guardianship, conservative. What's it called?
Conservatorship. Yeah.
Like she hasn't really been in the media too much. She was doing a lot of shows.
She was still working.
But they were like booking it for her. She wasn't really making decisions about her life or anything in her life, basically.
Well, she legally wasn't allowed to.
So she lost complete freedom.
Complete freedom and complete control.
And was forced to work, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. Like she couldn't hire her own lawyers because she had that over her head. Like she couldn't use her own money without them giving it to her.
Approving it,
yeah. There was like one crazy thing in the documentary as well. Like she would ask for money to buy gifts for her kids. She would have to wait 3 days. She would need to get like an essential item. She would have to wait 3 days or until someone gets back to her and approves it.
So that's basically the documentary. And it just came out, 2 or 3 days ago, you said that it's over. And she has, it's in the process of being over, right?
Yeah. Like it's been a long time. I think it was probably about a year ago when it really started escalating. He got taken off her, like making her personal life decisions, but was still making her money decisions.
Yeah.
But then now she's like completely free.
Is she?
Yeah.
Interesting. What's she going to do now that she's free? Because her Instagram has been pretty wild for a little while.
Yeah.
But that's obviously due to pretty constraints, pretty forced to make those videos, right?
You never, and that was like another thing, like the whole conspiracy behind it is like, is she, and that was like the fans really like helped this momentum or this movement move forward because they saw this and they thought it was like a sign to be like, maybe she actually doesn't want to be in this conservatorship. Maybe she actually wants to, have her own life and everything because she was never allowed to speak up about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's free.
She's free now.
She's in the process of being free.
Yeah.
I feel like, and I said this, she'll have a #1 album straight away. In the next 12 months, she'll come out guns blazing. She'll have a hit album, crazy collabs, and she'll be back to the old Britney. She'll be back to being Britney bitch.
Britney bitch. Yeah, you said this like right after watching the documentary. She's like definitely going to have.
So before episode 100, she'll have a #1 album. Mark my words.
100% she would. She was so talented. I mean, like in the 2000s, she was probably like top 5 artists of all time. Like she had #1s on the billboards.
Was she around at the same time as Spice Girls, or do they overlap?
Spice Girls were a little bit earlier. So Spice Girls were 90, so like 95 to like 99. And then Britney was like 98 to like 2005.
Interesting.
Yeah, so like early 2000s.
So like who else was she competing with? Like female pop-wise, like Destiny's Child, Christina Aguilera, them two, 100%. And they're pretty much all those women have like been children, like have all been children, have been like child actors and like in the spotlight since they were children is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, because it was the Disney Club that they were in.
Well, Christina and Britney were, right?
Yeah, and like Justin Timberlake, he was one of them.
Beyonce was, I don't think they were, but they were like performing and dancing super, super young.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think the whole Britney fallout, do you think it was due to like being brought up under the microscope and the scrutiny of the media and having paparazzi from a very young age, or do you reckon it was just like personal fallout or drugs from that era? Because it all sort of happened when the kids got taken away, right?
Yeah, so that was definitely the downfall. But I guess with like movie history and I guess the way that child actors sort of play out, not all of them, like it's common knowledge that a lot of them have like pre-existing problems, like it, you know, it affects them like mental health. I mean, it could have, but I know like especially in like the early 2000s when paparazzi really started to like increase and like get crazy, that would like turn anyone
bit wild.
100%.
Especially in your teenage years. Like I can understand being like a child actor for a few years, but then if you're still under the spotlight as transitioning from a child to an adult, like I feel like the females definitely get more scrutinized. Like obviously just media in general picked apart by looks and stuff. But you look at other child actors like Leonardo DiCaprio was an actor when he was super, super young.
He was. You got... So I just thought of Elijah Wood. Yeah, he was a really young actor. Yeah, he was in, again, really nerdy, like Back to the Future. Yeah. He was in, what's that Mel Gibson one where he like gets frozen in time?
Who's the biggest child star? Who's had the biggest falling out?
I mean,
other than like obviously going the
Macaulay Culkin,
the worst route of committing suicide or anything.
No, like I guess the most notable ones, and I'm not like a celebrity expert.
Don't you watch ET every day?
No, I don't even read like Who magazine, like the women's magazines and stuff.
I see TMZ notifications come up all the time.
Oh, do you? Yeah, that's a lie. But yeah, Corey Feldman is like a popular one as well. One. Yeah. Haley Joel Osment. Yeah. And then, yeah, Macaulay Culkin, like he's always a big one. But I think a lot of them were just like followed by media and paparazzi the whole time. Like imagine being that famous, and people have said this before, but you can't even go to a supermarket. You can't even go to like the service station. Like you can't even exit your front door without like bodyguards, or you have to go like with a disguise on. Like you just can't be yourself anymore outside.
What do you do as a parent in that situation? So like these, obviously all these examples, they're child stars, their parents have taken them to auditions and stuff. Obviously there's situations where they're just walking down the street and someone's like, your daughter could be a pop star or something. But for the most part, all these people are like taken to auditions when they're super, super young, right? So the parents have it in the back of their mind, like, this is a potential route we want to take our kid down. So is it about control at the end of the day? Because obviously Britney's dad wanted to have control over her. He may have had her best intentions in mind. Who knows? Sounds like he was making more money than her most years, even though she was the performer. But it feels like the parents start to blame a lot of the time. Yeah, like, but it depends. Like you have both ways. You have the dance mum parents. That's what I like to call them, like the show parents. Yeah, like JoJo Siwa situation. Yeah, like the parents that wish they were famous or never quite made it, so then they put it onto their kids dance and make moms. Them do dance mums, and they make them go to auditions, and they, you know, I guess eventually steal their money in the end. Isn't that how all their story goes? And then you have the kids that want to be actors, and they make their parents take them and make their parents take them to auditions and go that way. But I guess maybe the kids that wanted to be actors are probably the more well-adjusted ones compared to the kids that were forced to be actors. Generalizing here. Just had a light bulb moment. What's this episode, the podcast called? The podcast episode? No, what's like our podcast called? Oh, Look Mum, I'm Hustling? Yeah. We should just change up the entire thing and just interview child stars. Oh, and be like, what's your relationship with your mum like? Yeah, exactly.
It's like, and if you were hustling right now, what would you tell your mum?
Would she still be proud of you hustling at this age after your cocaine habits been
kicked in the butt?
Yeah. Like, what do you do as a parent? Like, what if you're like a YouTube star these days?
Yeah.
Like how do you like even adjust your kid to the world of that scrutiny, social media scrutiny, not even just like Hollywood scrutiny?
Yeah, because they're almost like two different ballparks.
100%.
Yeah, because the Hollywood with your paparazzi, that's more designed for, I guess, people like mainly older women reading those magazines, like wanting to know what the hot goss is. And then everything that's on social media is designed for people in that age group and, you know, people like you and me. But then also, and this just reminds me as well of the, you know, the social dilemma.
Yeah.
Yeah, just how the social media cultivates, you know, what you're seeing from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shapes your entire worldview.
It does. And could you imagine like your algorithm is just like constantly seeing all that?
Who do you think if there's like child stars for like Hollywood, child stars on YouTube, kids that have grown up, like Logan and Jake Paul are probably the biggest, more notable examples, right?
Yeah.
How would their life is so different. Like they're in control completely of everything they do compared to someone that's grown up in Hollywood in 2000s and is now 20 or 30, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's just such a different world. But like in terms of stardom, who has like the bigger voice? Like I would say like the social media people are. They make way more money. With
the social media crew now, like the people that are following, like they grew up online on the computers where I guess the Hollywood is becoming a little bit more old school. Like a lot of people don't follow that anymore. But like imagine if you're a 15-year-old, right? Watching another 15-year-old have $100,000 and be like, this is what I'm going to do with it today. Or I'm going to buy a car. I'm going to go on the race. Like you'd want to watch to see what someone else, what they're going to do next. To be like, I'm 15, he's 15.
Why would you want to be in a movie? Or a TV show? Yeah.
Especially when you have like doing literally whatever you want, like no rules, no boundaries. I mean, I guess that's why the Paul brothers sort of went downhill for a little bit because that's what happened. They had all this money, all this power, all this fame at like hormones raging. Like what who's going to tell you no? Like who's going to tell you what to do? Like who's going to give you advice on, you know what, just stop a minute and maybe invest this money? Or
I feel like they're past the point now where they can get caught up in that downfall moment. Like especially the old school child actors, like I said, when those teenage years are sort of when there's a bit of a downfall moment. From 15 to 25, there's always sort of, you know, a sketchy story to be told. But I feel like they've overcome that now. Like they're past that hurdle. They can't. There's nothing really that can like bring them down. Or even someone like JoJo Siwa. Like I don't know anything about it other than she has like ribbons and bows in her hair.
Yeah.
But she's got a huge following, right? She's been doing it for a number of years. Like, do you think there's potential for her to like just be completely life ruined at this point, or is it like she's gotten too established in like society?
Well,
what does she do? She makes ice cream and sells bows, right?
Yeah, well, she dances. She's also like in movies. She's like big on YouTube. She recently came out, and that sort of took a big hit to her social media, but she sort of bounced back from that. She was always like, screw you all. I'm just going to keep doing what I want to do. If you don't like who I am as a person, you don't need to follow me.
Exactly.
Like, this is who I am.
Like in saying that, that's way more freedom for you to be you. And I feel like the problem with like Hollywood is you don't get a chance to say this is who I am. You have to be.
Well, it's a business.
You got to be turned on and been playing a role the whole time. You never get a chance to like be you.
Well, just say if you're a child actor, you're hired as an actor to do a job for the studio. You're representing that studio, so you have to do what they want to do. It's like having to do what your boss says. True. So you don't have that freedom to, I guess. Just say if you do like a terrible movie, you can't tell people it's a terrible movie, not until like later on.
If you were a child actor, what movie would you want to be in growing up? Like talking 90s movies.
90s movies? Some like weird sort of like one of those Disney.
Name a movie.
Like Smart House?
Never seen it.
It's like these weird Disney movies. Or I think there's one called like Leprechaun. Like this kid finds out like he's half leprechaun and he loses like his good luck charm.
Okay.
And then because he loses his good luck charm, he starts to turn into a leprechaun. So he gets shorter and shorter and shorter and his hair's going orange. And he has like no idea what's going on because he's like his mom's being captured by these people that capture leprechauns because they want to get to the gold. Yeah. You know.
What would be the scariest movie for you to be in? Like witches?
I was going to say Blair Witch.
Yeah.
Yeah, just running around in the dark, a camera super close to my face, heavy breathing, and not knowing what's going on.
I would love to be an actor or just an extra even in Prehysteria. You ever seen that?
What's Prehysteria?
It's basically, imagine like a mini golf course and like the people that own it, but then it's like infested with like these miniature dinosaurs.
Right.
And if you imagine like a gopher coming out of like a hole and popping around, like it's like that with the little dinosaurs. And they like live in like this mini golf course. And there's like 3 movies.
Oh, really? I have to watch this.
It's so D-grade. It's horrible.
Sounds so random.
Very random.
Super random.
First thing that came to mind though. And then witches would be horrible. He's just scary.
Well, because then you get turned into a mouse. And then what's going to happen? Not everybody has like a grandmother that knows that you're a mouse and tries to help you.
We haven't watched that Anne Hathaway version of Witches.
I don't know if I want to. Like the classic was so good.
Was she a child actor?
Anne Hathaway? I think she was I don't think she was a child actor.
I mean, she was in
Movies?
Prada, Devil's Wear Prada.
Yeah, but
That's
she was like
probably
early
15
20s.
years old by now, right? It's 2021.
I know. There's a lot of movies that we think is like 5 years old, but it's actually like 25.
It's actually at a Blockbuster 15 years ago.
What was the movie that you used to rent the most at Blockbuster?
Probably like American Pie, something like that. Yeah, classic.
Mine was Spice World.
Spice World, yeah.
Yeah, used to love Spice Girls. That and Britney Spears.
I think I've told this story before, but I rode a long distance to get a Spice Girls sticker book once.
To the news agency?
To the news agency, and then got home and realised no stickers were included. I'm just like the booklet. So I had to double back and get stickers.
Awful.
Had to get that posh sticker.
Yeah. I used to collect the Sabrina the Teenage Witch one. That was like you get like makeup and nail polish and stickers and all that. Yeah, it was really, really cool. I used to love getting it every single week.
Would you be an extra? Would you be a child star in Sabrina?
I would be that's the good kind of witches. I'd be happy with that.
Does she? What's her name? Melissa Joan Hart?
Yeah.
Does she even do anything these days?
She was in a couple of TV shows, but I don't know what she's doing at the moment.
See, there's a whole like generation of like actresses like that, obviously actors as well. And they were like big for like a 1 or 2 TV shows for like 5 or 6 year period, and then you don't hear of them for like decades. Do you reckon they're like living comfortably and wealthy off the original income from those, or they're just like chilling and they're actually housewives now to like a banker?
Well, I guess it depends like what's involved is like, do you get royalties every time it's like replayed? Is there merch? Do you get like a cut of like merch that's made?
True.
If there's like spin-off books or comic books, do you get a part of that? Yeah, there could be a whole bunch of...
I don't think they do that much royalties for the IP. Maybe like the show and getting the show DVD sales, perhaps. I don't really know how royalties work in that regard. I don't know like how bands and stuff work a little bit.
Yeah. Could you imagine it would be like Friends, for example.
Yeah.
Or even like the Big Bang Stars. Like those are 2 like big, long-running, big shows. And you got like a cut of the royalties. There's reruns every single day. You'd be set.
There's another example of a child star. Well, sort of. He was a teenager and then came back from Big Bang.
Oh, Roseanne.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was like something that seems like it's 20 years old. And it is. But he was like a teenager in that, right? Or like a young teen, like 12 or whatever.
Yeah.
What's his name? Not Leonard. Yeah, Leonard?
Yeah, Leonard in the show. I can't remember his real name. Yeah. And then they had a lot of the Roseanne stars that were in it as well.
But like he was gone. I hadn't heard of him for like 15, 20 years. Then he came back.
Yeah.
Like there's a resurgence.
Penny was the same as well. She was part of like another TV show. And I think I remember the dad died.
That wasn't quite as old. That was...
No. It's like Perfect.
Perfect? 10 things to... Date My Daughter or something?
Yeah.
8 Simple Rules.
8 Simple Rules. Yeah. And then, that's right, the younger sister, the middle sister, she was like...
The redhead was hot. I had a big crush on her.
And she was apparently like the ugly one, but she was so pretty.
She was very pretty.
Yeah, super pretty. Like it...
Child stars, man. What can you do?
But like, even then, just going back, not even having like a moment to yourself.
Are there any other celebrities that we know of that are in some sort of conservatorshipism situation?
Not other celebrities. Like, it's very rare. Like, it's something that doesn't happen very often because it's in extreme circumstances because you're taking away someone's rights and freedoms.
I feel like I don't know much about it, but I feel like it only applied to people in, like, unique circumstances where there's a lot on the line, not just your average Joe Blow down the street. Obviously, his partner or his cousin or whatever can look after him. But I feel like it would apply mostly to people that have a lot of stake, like a huge brand or a huge reputation or huge financial stake. There's more at play, so there's more to be in control of and to retain.
Yeah, and especially someone like Britney, she was number one. She's getting millions of dollars every year, and that was like one of the reasons they were worried that she was susceptible to like people, I guess like partners or boyfriends coming in and stealing her money.
Right.
And they were worried that she couldn't make decisions properly enough to protect her, you know, real estate, property, assets. They were all worried about that, but it seems like
they wanted them to get they didn't want to get out of the will. They didn't want to get like cut out of the will for some mover in. I've got no words in this podcast. Some random guys that move in and hook up with her and potentially change the will or something like that.
Where she's the one that pays for everything, like all their $1 million properties.
The dad would be so rich for life as well, right?
100%. And from what like I've read about Britney, she's like just a sweethearted person, so she would have been happy to support them forever, like without the conservatorship, most likely.
Is it safe to say you're going to follow along to the Free Britney movement?
Yeah, I'm going to
make sure just to make sure she's actually free.
Yeah, I'm going to follow her on Instagram and see.
You?
Yeah,
not on the Look Mum one.
No, I'll follow her on
the personal one. I don't want Britney updates.
And just
the documentary was enough for me to understand the situation.
But you weren't as much as a fan as I was. Like I had her first 3 albums growing up. Like it.
Did you?
I did, yeah.
She had 3 albums.
She's got more than 3, but I had
Name all 3.
Oh, there's a self-titled. There's
self-titled biggest cop-out answer, sure.
Baby One More Time. Is that what
song.
It's called?
I'm asking you.
There's one called... Man, I was terrible with... I used to love like the Dear Diary song.
There's the Circus, because I know that.
Yeah, that's one of her older, like her more recent ones.
Still name one faster than you did.
There's like... I think there's one called Billie Jean. That was a good one. Like the Crossroads soundtrack.
Your answers are proving you're not a true fan.
It's been a very long time, okay?
Okay, fair enough. Favorite Britney song? And you can't say any of her top 3 songs.
No, it was, like I was saying before, like the Dear Diary song. That was like my favorite of hers. I used to listen to it. And no, it's like, Dear Diary, today I saw a boy.
Dear Diary, today I saw a boy.
Yeah, I actually think it's from the Crossroads movie.
Wasn't she in Coyote Ugly?
No, that was someone else.
Was it?
It was B-grade Britney. No, that's mean.
How dare you?
The actress now, she's in Client Affairs or something.
We're going down some weird rabbit holes here.
Weird rabbit holes.
So what was your favourite song, that one?
Yeah.
Crossroads theme song, basically.
No, the Dear Diary song.
I need to listen to it to understand. That one definitely won't be on the Look Mum playlist.
I was about to say we'll add it to the playlist. No. Do you have a favourite Britney song?
Toxic. Red jumpsuit, Toxic.
The Toxic one?
Probably, I guess. Oh, I didn't mind the cover of Rock and Roll All Night. What was the Rock and Roll one?
No idea.
Did she cover that rock and roll song?
Oh, wait, you're not thinking of Jessica Simpson.
I love rock and roll.
Oh, no, she did. Yeah, that was in Crossroads.
Was it?
Yeah.
Maybe her best work was Crossroads.
Maybe
we can expect a Netflix sequel past the Crossroad.
You know what? I actually think there is a Crossroads too, but it doesn't have Britney Spears in it.
It has the chick from Coyote Ugly.
Could you imagine?
Her daughter.
Maybe.
Maybe not.
No, we don't know what we're talking about.
All right, we're going to wrap it up there. If you haven't seen the documentary, it's not bad. I wouldn't rush out to see it, but if you're a Britney fan like Sarah apparently is, I'd go along and check it out on Netflix. It's called Britney versus Spears.
Yeah, it's called Britney versus Spears. It's just an interesting doco because you'd think for someone who's so famous and so world known, like how could something like this happen to her when she's like in the spotlight? And like it seems like something that's on like a true crimes podcast episode about, you know, someone random in some small town somewhere.
And there is like a 10-year gap where like she was under the conservatorship. That word, it sucks to say. And there's not much footage as well. Like if there was more footage that could potentially be surfaced, that could be like a 10-part series, but it's only an hour and a half documentary. So fellas, hour and a half, you can handle it.
Yeah.
Interesting to understand how your privacy can be taken away if you're such a prominent celebrity figure.
Yeah,
Pretty
exactly.
crazy.
Yeah, you wouldn't think it would happen to someone who actually has a bit of power themselves, and then it just all gets taken away.
Yeah. So thank you guys for listening to episode 20 of the Look Mum I'm Hustling podcast. We got a book review. We talked about giving a book review. Should we just say the title here to give people some preparation? If they want to read it?
We're going to do Mind on Plants by Michael Pollan.
Yeah.
Pollan.
You've read it. I haven't.
Drew is yet to read it.
It's really up to me in terms of how fast the book review episode comes out. But if you want to sort of understand what we're going to talk about in our first, I think we've done a book review before, but never really.
We've tacked them on at the end of episodes.
But it hasn't been a full one. All right. Yeah. So My Mind on Plants, I think it's called. Michael Pollan will do that in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, and then, really interesting read. I recommend it.
After that one, we'll let you guys know what the next one is, and we'll get it rolling. Yeah. All right, we'll get out of here. See you guys in the next episode. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
See ya.
Bye.